Welcome to the Unapologetic Man Podcast, the only podcast that's all about self-improvement, confidence, success, women, and being a man without making any apologies for it. What is up, you champions? Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the UMP. I really do appreciate you. And today we are going to talk about E.M.O.T. Have you ever heard of this thing? E.M.O.T, which stands for emotion, manifestation, organically and tangibly. Just kidding. It actually just stands for emotion, coming from that word emovera, which in ancient Greek means emotions. That too is bullshit. I have no idea where it comes from, but emote comes from emotions, and many of you may have heard of it before. But guys, it's very simple. If you're not engaging emotions in the female, she will not get attracted to you. How many of us, including me, have gone into interview mode, eliciting zero emotions in the woman, and then she politely excuses herself, and you're like, what the fuck did I do wrong? What you did wrong is you didn't emote, bro tendo. You didn't get her into her emotions, Theodore Roosevelt. You need to get her feeling something, protein shake. Because if you don't do that, she's going to walk away and you're not going to get a phone number. So in today's episode, I am going to tell a couple stories to demonstrate how to emote. Then I'm going to tell you at least 5 awesome questions to ask girls to get emotions out of them and kind of lead you in a direction where we're going to have conversations you're not necessarily used to, but not only for her, but for you are a hell of a lot more fun. I'm sure a lot of you guys can relate that going out to meet girls can be a little bit of a David Hasselhoff sometimes. You dread it because you're not having fun. So part of getting good with girls is having fun, not her necessarily having fun, although that's important too, extremely important, but you having fun, my friend. I want you to go out there and have the time of your life. Your entertainment is the most important thing. And when you're entertained, she's going to be entertained. She's going to be into her emotions. So I'm going to kick off this episode with a really cool story. So about a year ago, I was hired by a dude who was 60 years old. And he had a fetish for younger girls, not jailbait kind of girls, but girls who were about 20 to 25. So he straight asked me, he's like, dude, can you help me get these girls? And I was like, brother, it's going to be a mission. You have to build the skill set. But yes, we can get you a girl who is in her mid-20s. So he goes through the program, and I shit you not, guys. Week 8, homeboy calls me. And he's like, Mark, you will not believe what happened. I got a blowjob last night from a super sexy 20-year-old. And I was like, hell yeah, brother. I'm proud of you. In my head, I was like, damn, dude, 40 years? The biggest age gap that I ever went was 22 years, which even at that time, I was like, damn, I kind of feel like I'm robbing the cradle here. Feel a little bit like a scumbucket, but it's all belief systems. So that's what he wanted. He was okay with it, and he was able to yank this girl. So a year later, he writes me and he says, dude, I married my dream woman. She's 22 years old. And guys, I actually went to their wedding last weekend. True fucking story. She's gorgeous. She's absolutely spectacular. I give the chick a solid fucking 10. Amazing woman. And not to insult my client, but he's not the best looking dude in the world. He does have charisma. He does understand game. He has fixed the bullshit in his head thanks to my program. But seeing them get married, seeing them happy, literally brought tears to my eyes. That's why I'm here. My purpose here is to help guys meet their dream woman, to end loneliness, to enable guys to attract the kind of woman that they feel is up to their standards. All right, so that story hopefully elicited some emotion in you. Maybe it didn't make you weep like I did at the freaking wedding, like a female hyperextending her vagina. But at the same time, it was better than, hey guys, my client got married. He's 60 and she's like 22. Isn't that cool? What I did is I elicited emotion, not only my emotion, but his emotions, right? He was lonely. He wanted a younger woman. He called me that day and told me he got some sick duck. And if you don't know what sick duck is, just switch the S and the D and you'll know all about it. From a 20-year-old girl, he has a young girl fetish. He got married. The dude is so fucking pumped. What I did is incorporated emotions into that story. And that's what emote means. It means we have to bring emotions out in the woman. Now, I'm going to tell you how to do so specifically with some questions that I'm going to give you to ask women while you're speaking to them. But before we get into that, one more story that honestly was the sickest thing I've seen in the last 6 months. So some of you guys might know that I'm really into motorcycle racing, dirt bike racing, motocross, which happens outside, and supercross, which happens in stadiums. Well, 2 weekends ago, since today is Monday, there was a race at a place called Hangtown. Hangtown is a really sick motocross track where there's 40 of the world's best motocross racers. I'm talking dudes from Europe, Japan, Australia, the United States, 40 of the best in the world. And this is the most competitive place to race motorcycles, so all the best guys come here. Well, there's a dude from the good old US of A called Chase Sexton. Chase Sexton is a badass motocross rider. He just switched to a new team, KTM. Some of you guys may know that motorcycle brand. And he's been struggling a little bit with KTM, even though the guy is, in my opinion, a generational talent. So in the first turn, Chase Sexton, which is slightly characteristic of him, slides out and he's in last place. Game over. There's no way he will even pass 20 guys, let alone 40, in order to get a decent place in the race. So he's probably just going to send it in, get like 30th place or something like that, and then try for the next race. So Chase Sexton goes fucking apeshit and starts passing everybody. I'm talking 39th place, 38th place, 36, 35, 34, all the way up to 30, all the way up to 25th, all the way up to 20th, to 15th, to 10th. Suddenly, Chase Sexton, out of nowhere, is in the top 10, passes for 9th place, 8th place, 7th place, 6, 5, 4, and gets up to 3rd place. Everybody is completely shitting themselves because this guy is on fire, just launching these huge jumps, taking lines nobody else sees. He passes all the way up to 2nd place. Last lap, his teammate, whose name is Aaron Plessinger, is leading, and Chase Sexton, completely on this tear, passes him for 1st place, literally in the second to last turn, comes over the finish line, is just screaming with happiness. His dad, who's usually super even-keeled, runs over to him, hugs him, and Chase Sexton on the podium's like, dude, I don't know where that came from. That was the best race of my life. Gentlemen, if you have Peacock, go check out the Motocross Championship. It's called Hangtown. It was 2 races ago. It was the second 450 race. You will see something that, in my opinion, only happens maybe once every 10 years, if that. It was so fucking sick. All right, now, if you're not into motocross at all, which honestly probably a lot of you aren't, you still probably got kind of pumped up because we like hearing stories of humanity overcoming huge obstacles, don't we? Especially listening to a podcast like this one, we like stories of perseverance, stories where somebody hits that next gear and gets to that next level. But brothers, the story didn't matter. I could be talking about hot air balloon racing, if that even exists. It doesn't matter what you're talking about, it's how you talk about it. Are you passionate about it? So my first tip for you is investigate what it is that you're passionate about. And I need to reiterate, it doesn't matter what it is, only the fact that you have a deep sense of passion for it. Because your passion is emotion. Emotion is E.M.O.T, which is you're communicating that passion to her, and she's gonna buy into it, even if she's as interested in it as watching paint dry. If you have emotion behind something such as racing RC cars, playing video games, going to the hippie circle and playing the harp on a Saturday night, which I know you love to do, brother, communicate that to the woman. We want to get emotions out in her, and the way to get emotions out in her is to be emotional yourself. Emotional meaning passionate about what you do, pumped on life, enthusiastic, in a good place. Not emotional in the way of negativity. Such as, Amy, I got to be honest with you. I'm so lonely that yesterday I literally masturbated for 8 hours straight wearing a helmet. And the reason I was wearing a helmet is because I was banging my head against the wall as I was finger blasting my own butthole. And I'm so lonely. And then you start crying all over her tits, which is what I did in college. No, your tears will not be used as lubricant for sex. Instead, positive emotions. Stories, boys, are so unbelievably important. I feel like I say this in every 3rd episode. You have to have multiple stories ready pertaining to the venue that you're in. So if you go to a certain bar often, you have to have at least 3 to 5, preferably 10 stories. Supermarket, Jamba Juice, Starbucks, your penis enlargement appointment. You have to have stories pertaining to the venues at hand. And those stories should be interesting. They should be fun. They should elicit emotion. Have you ever heard the pirate joke? I've said it maybe 5 times on the 570 episodes that I have for this podcast, so I'll tell it to you again here. God, I am going to blow out this joke because it's so damn good, but I've said it multiple times to probably hundreds of thousands of dudes, so it's probably out there saturated, but try this. What's a pirate's favorite letter of the alphabet? Okay, I'm asking you that question. I want you to answer it. What's a pirate's favorite letter of the alphabet? You probably said R. And then when she says R, you say, you think so, but it's the C. And then she cracks up. That's emoting, getting emotions out of her, even just a laugh from a very simple joke. And guys, I'll open with that. I'll be like, hey, ladies, what's up? How's your night going tonight? Good, good, good. Hey, listen, I have a joke, okay? And most jokes are pretty cheesy, right? They don't get a laugh out of you. I will bet you anything that it will make you laugh. What do you want to bet? And oftentimes they'll say, we'll bet a drink. And I'll say, okay, cool. If I make you laugh, you have to buy me a drink. If you don't laugh, I'll buy you all drinks. Cool? And they say, cool. Then you say, what's a pirate's favorite letter of the alphabet? They say R. And then you say, you think so, but it's the C. They laugh every single time. Bam. You got emotions out of them. You got a free drink out of them. And gentlemen, it goes without saying, do not buy females drinks. The only time I'll buy a woman a drink is if we do a bet and I say, if I lose, I'll buy you the drink. If you lose, you have to buy me a drink. We're getting emotions out of it. We're not talking about shit like politics, religion. How did your anal probe appointment go? Stay away from that shit. Anything that doesn't elicit emotion, you avoid it like the plague. You avoid it like a fart in the wind, bro. You run the other direction. Now that begs the question, what if she brings up some boring shit? Well, it's your job as the man to change the subject. If she brings up something boring and you run with it, she's going to blame you for boring her. So it's your job, brother, when she brings up politics, religion, whatever it is, for you to say anyway, and you change the subject. Not in a socially inept way. Obviously, you have to use your social intelligence, but when you can, steer that shit in a different direction. Ask her questions that get her into her emotions, such as when she tells you what she does for a living, there's a few things you can do. If the job really sucks, like you can tell she doesn't like it, she's just doing it to pass time, and this happens a lot where girls will be in college studying something and they'll be like a waitress, or I met a girl the other day that worked at like a bounce castle place or whatever it was to pass the time while she's getting her degree. What I like to do is ask if they ever take revenge on the clients if the job is inherently extremely annoying, such as a girl's working at a tow yard, which happened once. And I asked her, do you ever have to choke people out? Like they try to run and get their cars and you chase them down, tackle them and choke them out in the dirt. And she's like, yeah, a couple of times. This elicits emotions because it's funny. You're joking around other than saying, oh, that's cool. How many people get their car towed per day? That, gentleman, is the sound of a cricket riding a tumbleweed. And yes, it is going to kill attraction immediately. So you need to think of questions that elicit emotion. Another good question to ask, particularly if your job is cool, is what made you want to do that? What are you passionate about in that job? What's the coolest thing that ever happened you working in that job? Oh, why'd you study to become that? Or why are you studying to become that? A chick, for example, is becoming a nurse. What happened in your past to make you want to become a nurse? I had this one chick, she was a phlebotomist. Which is like the girl that takes the blood out of you. And I hate that shit. I'm like, oh, what made you want to do that? What in your past made you want to do that? And she's like, I used to just look at my dad's veins in his arms and just want to stick a needle in them. And I'm like, you're a psychopath, right? And we started laughing. That elicits emotions. All right, let's talk about a few questions you can ask women to elicit those all-important emotions. All right, the first one is the most obvious. What are you most passionate about? What are you most passionate about? Right there, boys. That gets her immediately into her emotions, and people love hearing that shit. You think, like, if I throw that out there, isn't she going to know I'm trying to do something? No, people love talking about themselves. The all-important adage of with them, what's in it for me? She just wants to know, is this guy going to suck value out of me, or is he going to give value to me? What are you most passionate about? If you ask me that, I will go on and on and on forever. What am I most passionate about? Self-development. What happens after death is something I study all the time. How to get girls attracted to you. That interests me more than I could possibly explain. Even when I'm not technically working, when I'm out in public, I'm like looking at people interacting, analyzing guys' body language, analyzing her body language, seeing what's wrong in the conversation, seeing where he's fucking up, what she's doing. I'm obsessed with it. And it's like all I think about. So yeah, I'm definitely in the right job. So if you ask me, Mark, what do you love about being a dating coach? I could go on for 10 hours about it. Fucking love everything. I'm obsessed with it. And honestly, it's why I'm good at it. That's why I get the results I do, including a 60-year-old man marrying a hot 22-year-old. And again, homeboy's not that good looking. That's how successful my shit is. Just saying. Next question. If you could have a billboard on the side of the freeway, what would it say on it? So good. What's your all-time favorite thing to do? What if I asked you that, brother? Other than masturbating in a corner of a pool of your own tears wearing a helmet, what is your favorite thing to do of all time? What's your best hobby? Dude, you could go on about that for 16 hours. What would you do with your life if you had $100 million? God bless America. I could think about so many things. I'd travel, I'd give to charities in a big way. I'd probably go to Africa and like help set up some like water stations. I would really give a lot to charity, but I'd also have tons of adventures. I'd probably help out some friends, some family members. There's a million things you can do. And boys, you can find out a lot about her based on her answers. If she's like, yeah, I would basically get just a big mountain of cocaine and snort that shit until my face was numb, you know a lot about her, don't you? So you can also analyze their personality. If you could have a billboard on the side of the freeway, what would it say on it? Love that one. God, girls are so fucking uncreative. They're like, be happy. And I'm like, okay, okay, yeah, good stuff. Anyway, next question. If you could go anywhere in the world right now, where would you go? You just drop everything, Sarah. Right now we're going. Where are you going? And they're like, Wisconsin. And I'm like, oh my hell, another one of these. What's the nicest thing you've ever done for a friend? Really good, because now she's talking about friendships. What does this do, boys? Gets her into her emotions. Do you have a ghost story? So good. You know what? Most girls I've asked this to, they have ghost stories. Why? Because ghosts are fucking real, bro. They are real. I have seen one myself. I've heard a freaking girl laughing in a room and I open the door and there's nobody in there. 100% a ghost, not my imagination. No, I did not do a mountain of cocaine until my face was numb and I heard a girl laughing in a room. Never done drugs in my life. If you could have dinner with someone in history, alive or dead, who would it be? Guys, that's 10 minutes conversation right there. Then you give your answer and we're off to the races. Emotions are the most important thing to generate in a woman. If you're not generating emotion, you're not generating attraction. I really want you to remember that. So get out of the interview mode. Where are you from? Where'd you go to school? Do you like weather? Guys, that shit's not going to elicit emotions. So you need to think differently. How can I get this girl feeling emotional? How can I pump my state so that I'm feeling good and she's getting that vibe from me, which is charisma. Charisma is leaving other people feeling better from having met you. If you could just get literally 10 to 20% more emotions into your conversations with girls, even with just the questions I gave you today, you are going to get 50% more attraction, 100% more attraction. And that's where we get more phone numbers. That's where we get more dates. So to emote simply means emotion. It doesn't mean emotion manifestation overdrive technology. It just means emotion. So think about that the next time you're in set. How can I get this girl as invested as possible into those emotions? Because emotion equals attraction. Gentlemen, I was not blowing smoke up your ass when I said I literally helped a 60-year-old man marry a 22-year-old hottie. Completely true story. I have been to dozens of weddings of my clients. What I do works. So if you're looking to improve your dating life this summer, get more ass than a toilet seat, as I like to say, I'm your man. Click the link in the description below, go to my application page, fill in the quick application, submit it. I will write you personally with a few questions asking you, what are you trying to achieve? What have been your struggles? How can I help you? Is the thought that I'm thinking. What's my purpose here? To help men become the very best version of themselves and to attract women on command. That is why I'm here, and not to be arrogant, but I'm very fucking good at what I do. In addition to applying to that, stay tuned for the podcast on Thursday. I am going to drop an absolute banger that really teaches you how to get girls into their emotions by teaching you my system to answer the boring ass questions that girls are going to ask you. What do you do? Where are you from? How old are you? What's your favorite hobby? I have the most epic way to answer those questions that is going to skyrocket a female's attraction for you instantaneously. So if the only place your dick gets wet in the shower, if your dick is so dry it's going to audition for the next movie of Dune, then you need to stay tuned and come to Thursday's podcast because it is going to be a fucking huge one. Stop by again, gentlemen. I do appreciate you listening. I drop podcasts on Mondays and Thursdays, so please stay tuned for the next one, and I will see you in the next episode.